Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Data Analysis course. I'm Joshua Dara, and today we are diving into one of the most important skills you will ever learn in this field. We are learning SQL. So, SQL stands for Structured Query Language. Fancy name, but don't let it intimidate you. If you want to be a data analyst, a data scientist, business intelligence analyst, machine learning engineer, then SQL isn't an option. It's a must have. Here's the thing. Almost every company out there stores their data in databases. And SQL is how we talk to those databases. So by the end of this session, you actually understand what databases are, what relational databases mean. We'll see tables, rows, and columns, SQLite, select from where, and how to filter data. So let's jump right in. Now, what is a database? Think about a company like Amazon. Every single day, they store customer info, orders, products, and payments. So where does all that data live? They all live in a database. So a database is really just an organized collection of data. So you can picture it like a digital filing cabinet. Instead of paper everywhere, everything is stored electronically, clean, fast, and searchable. Now let's talk about relational database. A relational database stores data in tables. Here's a quick example. A database with customer ID and name being stored in a table. So the customer ID, the column has 1, 2, and the customers and the name column also has, let's say, John and Sarah. So that table represents a relational data. Now let's look at some of the most popular databases out there, and some are MySQL, PostgreSQL, SQLite, Microsoft SQL Server, and Oracle. Today, we are using SQLite because it's free, it is easy to set up, and it is really beginner friendly. So, we'll be going ahead to talk about some tables, rows, and columns in SQL. Now, every database table has two main parts. You have the columns and the rows. For the columns, they define the type of information we are storing, like name column, age column, email column. Now, on the row, or each row is one single record, like one customer, one name, one age, one email. Here's a simple way to think about it. Columns ask the questions and rows give the answers. Let's head on to the installation of SQLite now. So to download and install SQLite, you head into your browser. When you head into your browser, you type download SQLite and hit enter. Then it's going to be the first one. But we are not only coming to download or install SQLite. We are going to download and install both SQLite and the database browser, which is a DB browser here. So we are going to download and install the two. And you see that when you just type download SQLite, they are going to provide you with a link for the two. So let's open the second one in another tab and open the first one. Now, when you open this one, you head down to download it for your operating system. For Windows, you come to this side here. For Mac here, Linux, Android. So you just head on to where your operating system is and you download it. Now, for the DB browser, you download it, the one suitable for your operating system. But For Windows, I'd advise you go for the standard installer. So download the standard installer for the 64-bit Windows system or 32 bits, or probably the ARM64 architecture systems. So now let's download this. Yeah, and my download has started. Let's go to the second one. And so when you find the one suitable for your operating system, say we are going for Windows, we'd go for this compiled one here. That is for the Windows X64. We download this. Yeah, size is very small, so it takes a very small time to download. Now they are both done downloading. Let's install the SQL. Let's install the SQLite. Just a moment while I switch. Okay. So now when you open the downloaded zip, it's going to look like this. So when this is open, you click on extract all. So to extract all, I would like to extract it to this place at once. So I'm going to extract it here. But let me create a folder for it. SQLite. I'm going to extract it in this folder. Yeah. So you copy this part. I'll tell you why you need to copy the part. Then you extract. Yeah. Now it's extracted into the folder, as you can see over here. So when you're done with that, you open your start menu and you type edit system variable. Hold on, let me switch to that so you see. Yeah. So type edit system variable. I'm sure you all can see. When this comes, you go to environmental variables here. It opens another window. Which I'm sure you can see. Now, you come to this place and you look for part and double click it. So you see part over here, then you double click it. When you double click it, it opens another window. Then you click on new. Then you paste the file path you've copied, which is our SQLite file path. Then you hit OK, OK, and OK. Think that is it. Then we head on to the installation of the DB browser. So for the DB browser, you simply open the downloaded file, that is the installer. Now, when the installer opens, it's going to look like this. You just hit next. he accepts the terms and conditions or the license agreement, then I'm cool with these locations. So I hit next again and next, then I install. Takes little or no time to install. Yeah, and it's done installing. Now, when that is done, you head to your start menu and type the DB browser for SQLite. When you do that, you click on it to open and you see something like this. This is the SQL. This is the DB browser for the SQLite. Here's it. Now, the reason why we've installed DB browser in addition to our SQLite is because DB browser gives us a graphical interface to explore databases. So when you're done or after you're done installing the DB browser and you open it, you can simply go ahead and try creating a new database. So you head to this new database, you click on it, it opens up your file explorer. So you select the location of which you want to create the database. When you are done selecting the location, you type in your database name. So now, once we are done with that, we head on to create a data. We create a table here. So when you click create table, this should open. Yeah. So we go ahead and give our table name. Let's give the table name customers. Then you add the columns for our table over here. So for customers, let's say we need the ID, and the ID should be an integer. It shouldn't contain any null values. The ID should also be unique. Let's create the customer name column, and this should be a text. We add another one. Let's see the email. This should also be text. We add another column, say registrations, and this should also be text. Yeah. Yes. So now we can go ahead and click OK, and we go to browse our data to see the columns we've created for our table. We come here, we select the table we've created, which is customers. Now, once that is open, you can see our customer table here, but it is currently empty. So we can fill in some details. So to add a row, these are just the columns. So to add a row, come here, we click it, then we type what we want to be in the room. Let's say the first customer is John. Oh, sorry, this should be the ID. The first customer is John. Good. The email is johndoe@gmail.com. The registration, we can make it a registration date, or let's just add some number to it. Let's say 10 or 103. Now to add another row, you hit this. Now you see that the ID is auto-filling itself because we selected auto increment while we're creating the ID column. Now this should be Esther Smith. So Still Smith. It's gmail.com. Let's just write any random thing here. Let's add uh, two more rows. Uniform. That's gmail.com. Now, this is a table we've created with some sample data. So we are ready to write some real SQL to see um, what we can do. So now this is our current table, the customer table is the details here, the column ID, name, email, registrations, and the rows here. Now, moving on to write our very first query, we first have to show, we have to access our SQL. Yeah, so before we go ahead, if you are unable to see this browse data, say you've created a table, but you are unable to see this browse data, all you just have to do is come to this view and you click on browse data, then it will appear here. So we want to access the SQL editor. So you come to execute SQL. Now it appears here. So we can now go here to write our very first query. So now our very first query, let's write select this asterisk from customers, customers select. This means we are selecting everything from our customers table. So yeah, it just means bring me everything from the customers table. Now let's break it down. The select is what data do I want? This means everything. This also means which table should I pull it from? So what data do you want? We want to select everything from this table, which is a customers table. Now, if what if uh you only want names? Let's say the you only want the name column and the customer table. So you just come select, simply type name, then from the customers table. So select name of service. You could as well put it down here because to be here. Now, what if you want to select multiple columns? So let's bring it down. So we want to select the name column and also see the email, the email column as well. So that is how you select multiple columns. Now you are grabbing only what you actually need. With this, we are not bringing out everything from the customer's table. You're only bringing out the name column and the email column. So why does this select matter? In real companies, databases can have hundreds of columns. Pulling everything all at the same time is slow and messy. Just imagine a huge data set or huge database and you want to pull everything. It becomes very slow and messy. So good analysts only select the columns they really need, like how you just selected the name and the email column. So good analysts only select the columns they really need and keep it clean. So now let's see if we can filter. the data here. So let's go back here. Select everything from our customer table, and let's see we are selecting everything where uh, where registrations, this registrations column is greater than 103, where registrations is greater than 103. Yeah, so let's assume this. Wait, let me run this so we see. Yeah, so I think we are getting this error because of the semicolon to this deal. It shouldn't be there. So yeah, let's run it again. I see. Ah, so now it has given us registrations that are greater than this integer here, 103. So if you see from the data, you see all the registration data on that over there. We can as well do IDs that are greater than, let's see, one. IDs that are greater than one. When you run it, we see all the IDs that are greater than one. So we see the IDs starting from 2, 3, 4. If the ID is greater than 3, it should only show our 4. Yeah, so we can all see how we can filter data over it. So without this where you will get everything. This way is your filter. So without it, you get everything. Let's assume we've not placed it here and we run this, we will get everything. So without it, you get everything. We use the where to filter our uh, database. So with where, only the rows that match your conditions that are going to be displayed to you or showed to you. So only the rules that match, say these conditions we've placed here, that is going to be shown. Now, let's see some comparison operators. You can use equal to. So instead of ID is greater than 2, greater than 3, we could say IDs that are equal to 3. So it's only going to show from the customers table the column ID that is equal to 3. Or yes, that is what it's going to show. And yeah, we can use the greater than the greater than we used earlier. We could also use less than. We could also use um, not equal to. So we see it should show us everything except the IDs. Except the IDs that are equal to 3. So in simple terms, show us IDs that are not equal to 3. Simple. We could also show, we could also do not equal to us this less and greater than not together. It also represents not equal to in SQL. Now let's see how we use and in SQL. So what if you need multiple conditions? So let's see, we want um, an ID that is greater than 1. Okay, let's say you want an ID that is greater than 2. An ID that is greater than 2 and registrations registrations that, okay, let's say registration that is equal to 234. So you see here that we have multiple conditions. We are looking for something in this table or in this data set. We are looking for an ID that is greater than 2 and in those ID that are greater than 2, we want a registration that is exactly equal to this uh, number here. So when we run this, it should give us, yes, this ID is greater than 2 because the ID there is 3 and the registration is matches exactly with what we've given it. So let's say you want to do registrations greater than this value here. When we run it, we see it gives us the last variable over here. So both conditions have to be true before it displays it. When you're using and both conditions have to be true. So we want this and this. This has to be true, and the second condition also has to be true. You could use it for multiple conditions. You could still add another and to it. Use it for multiple conditions. Now, what if let's say you want to be more flexible? You could also use or. So instead of and here, you could say we want an ID that is greater than 2 or a registrations that is greater than this. These are just conditions that you use to filter your your data. So only for all, only one condition needs to be true. The two of them don't need to be true. This could be true or this could be true. So we want this or this, one of them to be true. Now we could also use between. Between is great for ranges. So let's say we want IDs. Okay, let's say we want registrations that are um, between 234 and say, let me see, 234 and okay, let me write 500 and say 500. If we run this, we want registrations between 234 and 500. Let me see. Now, one thing you should keep in mind, we made a mistake from the beginning in creation of the table. We could edit it. Let me show you what mistake we did. For this registrations column, you see that we didn't initially know what, we didn't initially intend on putting numbers there. So in creation of the columns in the table, for the registration column, we chose the data format or data type as text instead of numbers or integers. We chose text. So you see, most if we want to do things that has to do with integers, we might be getting different values. So you need to know what data type you are going to be putting in that column, and you select it for you can. So with this, let me work with the ID for now. We'll go back and change the data type of the registrations column. So let's say we want IDs between 1 and 4. We want IDs between 1 and 4. So with this, it grabs everything from 1 up to 4. So if we were to put 2 and 3, okay, 2 and 4, it will grab everything from 2 to 4. So it has grabbed everything from 2 to 4. If you go to the same registrations, we want everything from 234 to 500. You should grab everything from 234 to 500. But because we didn't use integers here, it actually grabbed everything from 234, but it didn't get to you. It passed 500. It didn't know whether this was greater or less than 500. Yeah. So let's go to um, another one, which is the in. Now, in, let's you list multiple values cleanly. So let's say you are selecting everything from our customers table where ID, um, okay, let's say where name, assuming we had created a column for say city, we would have said where city in, let's say, um, Accra. That is if we were to create the city column in our table. But for now, we don't have any city column in our table. I'm just giving a scenario. We would have said from every select everything from the customer table where cities in Accra. So meaning it's going to select and it's only going to filter these are just filtering and it's only going to filter out the cities that are in Accra, the details with the cities that are in Accra. That is the only thing it's going to filter out. So it makes like it is much cleaner than writing a bunch of all statements and statements and stuff. Now we have something. You also have another one as like, but like is for pattern matching. Say you want names that start with the letter G. You want names that start with the letter G. So remember, we are still using where, so we are still filtering. Where is always used for filtering. Where is always used for filtering. So let's say we want names like we want names like J. We want names like J. This this percentage sign means any characters after this. So meaning it should start with J, but I could have any character after the J. That is what the percentage sign means. So you want the names that start with J. When you run this, you see John Doe, Jennifer Doe, Joshua James. These are the names that start with J. Let me see if you have any other name that starts with a different letter. Okay, so E. So let's say we want name that starts with E. When we run this, we only see our Esther Smith over here. So our let me go back to the previous one. Yeah. So our John, Joshua, Jennifer, they all match the J. The Esther also matches the E. Now going to some of the real world examples and some of the real world examples in this SQL. Imagine you are working for a company. Um, yeah, imagine you are working for a company. Your manager walks over and says, "Hey, can you show me all the customers from Accra who spent more than 1,000 cities?" So that's the instruction your manager has given you. Can you show me all the customers from Accra who spent more than 1,000 cities? With SQL or SQL, you can answer that immediately. That's why the skill is so powerful. So you just go into your SQL and you use your query to filter your from the customers table. You filter the customers that are in Accra. We've seen the in and who spent more than greater than 1,000 cities. Very simple. Then you get and display your the customers for your manager. Now, some common beginner mistakes that beginners make, a few things to watch out for. That is forgetting from before you start. You have when you're selecting, you have to specify where you are selecting from. We are selecting everything from. You are selecting everything from the table. You mentioned the table. Now, another one is misspelling tables, column names. Another one is forgetting quotation marks around text values. And Another one is also using equal to instead of like when you need patterns. Equal to is different from like in terms of if you need patterns, you use equal to, you use like, sorry. You need um to check correspondence, you use equal to. Now the assignment for this session is uh, you write 5 select queries, you filter customers from Accra, then you find orders above 1,000. So it's like the scenario we've given your manager coming to ask you that. Then you use like to find names that are starting with S. Then you use between to filter sales in a range. Yeah, so you use between to filter sales in a range. You should take your time and get your hands dirty on this. And um, before you can do this, you have to create the table for this. So you create a table yourself with all those and fill in some sample data, then use your data for the assignment. So nice work. You've officially written your first SQL queries. Next time we will level up with aggregations and grouping. See you then. Thank you for staying with us.